Okay, so we'll start basic. Okay, let's start by visualizing an apple. Perhaps you'd like to close your eyes and visualize an apple. Okay, and as you visualize the apple, perhaps you'd like to visualize an orange, the color of your front door, and maybe a friend's face. And in your own time, in your own pace, just come back to the here and now. Okay, was everyone capable of doing that? You're all capable of doing that. When you facilitate visualization, you'll get people saying to you, I can't visualize. Okay? What I would say is some people can visualize better than others. They're more visual, like we've just done the process before. But we can all visualize on some level. Well, how would you know how your best friend looks like? How would you know how your door looks like? So we all got the capacity. What I would do for the person who's very non-visual is start basic. Do what I did then. Say, perhaps you'd like to visualize an apple, an orange, your best friend, your door. And that's the way to start. You're not looking for a 3D HD film, by the way, but some people are going to be very clear in rehearsal. I just want to get that out of the way because it's really important. Because you're going to get people when you're doing rehearsal visualization, I can't visualize, okay? And it might be because they've got a preference for a different modality. It might be, it might not be, it might be a number of reasons. It might be what you're getting to visualize, but we'll look at that as we go along, okay? And we'll go from there. It's a great skill to have, visualization. The reason being is that, okay, we talk about anything being possible and all that sort of stuff. I'm not visualizing here on the basis that I'm not suggesting that we visualize just outcomes. I'm not implying that you could visualize a car and the next day someone's going to knock on the door and here's your car. I'm not saying you're going to visualize your perfect partner, your perfect. Everyone's going to leave the course now. That's what I'm trying to do. What I'm saying is that it's a great way to visualize process. The process of getting to the outcome, which we'll touch on as we go along. I've used visualization in sport for a long time. Some of the best athletes going, and especially when they're injured, by the way, when they can't do physical activity, then I'll do rehearsal. I've had people who've been injured who haven't been able to train, and I'll get them to visually rehearse the game, the technique, and so on and so forth. But I use it also for many other things as well. I mentioned yesterday that an idea and we form an association and a behavior. So the young man sees his uncle smoking and he considers his uncle being cool and he links smoking with cool and starts behavior. Okay? Equally, the opposite, you could take the young man to a emphysema ward and he sees the effects of smoking. That's obviously if he wants to change. I'm not suggesting that one smokes doesn't smoke. Then there's a new association and a new behavior. Okay? So we can give people ideas, and they can generate their own ideas, and they can form new associations, and with that, so we can use visualization as well as a way of generating options, alternatives, and choices. One of the great things we've got as human beings, we've got choice over behavior. Okay? You can choose. You've got choice over behavior. Okay? You can have a number of choices. Okay? I'll do an exercise with you to show you the concept of visualization, which is quite useful. If you're okay to do the exercise, if you struggle to do the exercise, it's not a problem too. If you just bring your arms out in this position, if you just want to stand up, if you struggle to stand up, that's okay. If you've got any injuries or ailments, you've got sore shoulders, whatever. And all you do really, just go as far back as you can. Okay, and with your body pointing forwards, okay, bring your arms out, go back as far as you can. And just notice where your hand is. Put a marker on the wall. Okay, and then just shake yourself off. Okay, now what you do, just with your hands down by your sides, I want you to imagine putting your arms out. Not physically doing, but imagine putting your arms out and going back. And as you put your arms out and go back, imagine going further and further than the last point that you went. Okay, and now you can do it physically. Bring your arms out and imagine going back further and further. And with your eyes closed, imagine going back, 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 and go as far as you possibly can, as far as you're comfortable going back. And if you just open your eyes and see where you are. Who's gone back further the second time? Okay, so you're gone back further the second time. Okay. Okay, so really, we couldn't make any physiological changes in that time frame, stretching-wise. No way. So, okay, we've put a new neural pathway in the brain. So when I train athletes, I'm training process. Okay, it's a bit like a farmer driving tractor in cornfield. You have that sort of pathway. We'll get onto it as we go along.
Is it right? I saw something, and they got athletes to sit in a chair, and they wired them up. They put sensors in their body.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And they asked them to visualize running the race.
And they had.
And the muscles that would have responded.
Fired. Yeah.
Muscles shouldn't have fired because they were sat down.
Yes. No, it is. It's been done at a few universities. Yeah. Yes.
Mind can't determine between reality
and non-reality. Definitely. And anyone doesn't believe that, watch The Exorcist. Yeah. And then go outside. You know the scary film The Exorcist? You know it's not real, but you're still scared to go and put the bins out. Yeah. Don't rush out and see. I'm just saying that, okay, who's ever had a scary dream and you sort of wake up in a frenzy? You can't differentiate. So yeah, there is, and we'll talk about that in the course, there are parts of the brain that sort of, in people who've got trauma or impact or illness, sometimes they can enact the dream, but it's another story for another day. But there's a sort of fine line, you're right. And that leads us nicely to, I want you to imagine now taking a bite. And if you want to close your eyes, you can do as well. But imagine having a lemon and taking a nice big chunk out of that lemon. Okay, you could squeeze that lemon. Okay, and as you squeeze the lemon, taste the juices, smell the lemon. And as you smell the lemon, the sound of peeling it, the feeling you've got of a lemon. Okay, and in your own time, can you taste it? Okay, you might want to have a sip of that Ribena now.
Mine's got gin with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so elaborating on Jacob's point, which was a great point, that's mine for you. We can recreate experiences, for sure, very much so. And you see in priming a lot. Priming, cutting a long story short, we're going to have time to go into it. So if I was to write down SO-P and talk about cleaning products, what would you think of? Okay, and if I was to write SO-P and talk about the wonderful lunch I had, what would you think about? Precisely. So you see a lot of priming goes on in advertising, in shops, and so on and so forth. So if you go shopping, by the way, for shopping, what I would just do is go on a full stomach. Don't go on an empty stomach. You buy stuff that doesn't serve you. And you'll know that statistically, if they spray cleaning products in the store, people are going to buy more of it. If you know, if you position the aisles in different areas, they're going to buy more of this. If you've got the bread straight to the limbic system, the smell of the bread, people are going to, you know, and sort of. So from a priming point of view, it's quite effective too. But that's another story for another day. We touched on some of the brain today, touched on some of the brain yesterday, and we'll carry on sort of touching on some of the brain. So we sort of talked about the anterior cingulate cortex, the ACC. There we go, marked in yellow, back of the brain, the mohawk of the brain right at the back. Okay, and many scientists believe it contributes to behavioral adaptation, detection of conflict, and responding and managing emotional reactions. Okay, so we can adjust our behavior in one sense, or we adjust our behavior. And I mentioned it yesterday where, okay, you're playing cards, or you're doing the slot machines, or you're playing against a friend that 90% of the time you beat, and then immediately the odds are stacked against you 90%. So all of a sudden you go from wiping the floor with the person you're working with, and how long is it before you catch on? How long is it before you catch on something's not right?
3 times.
No, it could be, and what you do is a reaction. Let's imagine a scenario. Let's imagine that you were and this is pretend, by the way. This is pretend. I don't know. Okay, you go away and do it. It's pretend. Let's pretend you were playing like a slot machine, and you had 90% chance of winning. That's pretend, because I don't think you're going to. That's for sure. You're in Las Vegas and you got this slot machine, 90% chance of winning. You're winning away, and all of a sudden, without you noticing, you go for a drink, you come back, and the odds are 90% against you. What's your reaction apart from smash the machine? How do you react? Do you walk away? Do you keep going? I think so too. Yeah, I think so. There's many aspects that are going to contribute to the outcome, but the key is how quickly you realise and how quickly you adjust your behaviour.
Yeah.
Okay, and that part of the brain is instrumental in doing that. Okay, nature nurture, biology, psychology, social. Okay, all these interactions, perfect storm. No one really knows, but there is that gateway to the limbic system. Okay, now for me, it's anticipation. Okay, so visualization can be quite useful too to put a variety of permutations. So with my athletes, my stable of footballers, every year we get together and we do mental skills, and I'll get them to visualize the fixture list every game. You play against a tall guy, short guy, fast guy, this guy, that guy, and it requires a lot of energy to do that, for sure, definitely. And they may never play against a person like that, but you can build some familiarity. You can choose your reaction. So if you're training someone to do an interview, you can practice doing interview skills. Practice the questions. How are you going to answer them? If you're training someone to do presentations, you can anticipate. You can do what if. You can do what if till now and a million years if you want to, but you can sort of isolate. You better prepare. Okay, rehearsal, you know, it's quite useful. I once had a guy phone me up. He had like a hidden phone. His wife phoned me up saying, "Oh, my husband's in meltdown. He's got an army test. It's on Tuesday next week. It was Thursday. It was Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. And he's on meltdown. He had to do, I think, a 1.5 mile run. I don't recall exactly what it was. That's a long time ago. Just to give you an example, he's on meltdown. He can do it because it's now close to the test, and the promotion's going to mean more money, and blah blah blah. And the more money means he can pay for the wedding and the house. And he's so focused on the outcome. What do you think happens? If you focus too much on the outcome, what do you put on yourself?
Stress.
Yeah, and we know there's a lot of stress. The frontal part of the brain shuts down. So, process. The outcome's fine. Goal's fine, no problem. So I said, why are you phoning me up? Why is he not phoning me up? He doesn't buy into what you do. So it's his problem, not mine. And then he phoned me up and he said, I don't really buy into all this sort of stuff, but I'm willing to give it a go. So thanks for the vote of confidence. So he come down that evening, we anticipated how the run would go. Okay, we visualized and set an anchor. When he, in practice, started panicking, I said, okay, I'm not going to take you to a track because at this point, it's too close. I don't want to cause an injury. Rehearse it. And he rehearsed it over and over again, anticipated variable outcomes. If it rains, if it's warm, like a beautiful day today. There's many permutations. Anticipation, how will you react? Okay? And I'm not putting down you got the promotion through me, but I texted him on the day of the test. He goes, how'd you get on? And he goes, oh, well, the news isn't great. Test got cancelled. I said, that was the permutation we didn't factor in. He goes, no, I did actually. I took the advice and did test next day, smashed it. But ironically, he got the same time he locked in his head within a couple of seconds of that 1.5 mile run. Crazy, because we really timed it well. For us. Okay, we get to 400 meters, you're on this time. We get and focus on the process.
I don't know, it want to be an LP course. It's almost as if you give your brain an instruction, so
yeah,
an outcome, it will look for ways when you're not working, when you're consciously doing it. Your brain will still be looking for ways to achieve that outcome.
I think so. It's a possibility, Jacob. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said he's going to do it in 3 minutes and 35 seconds, so we need to do it in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
I mean, if I say I'm going to do a mile in 3:35, then my brain will probably explode. There's no chance these days. But the point, no, that's a great point. The point being is that all things being well, he knows he can do. He's done it before. It's like a penalty taker in the football. they've taken 100 penalties in the game before they score. In a training game, it's the outcome. The crowd, the expectation, pressure is a human-made thing. It's still kicking a bag of wind, metaphorically, but the reality is that the fans and the pressure. It's like, for example, I said to you, okay, would you be comfortable? Who'd be comfortable walking across to the other side if they saw £100 there? And so you can, if you have £100 there, you can have it. Who'd be comfortable going there? Would be fine. You'd be comfortable going. One, if we want a building 1,000 feet high, and there was like a table this big, would you walk over a table this big, like this wide, that stretched across to the other side to pick up 1,000 pounds on a building 1,000 feet high? It's still the same distance, Beth. Why? Okay.
Danger.
Yeah. But there's, the fear. Okay, you could fall off, but if I put the same table a foot high, would you do it? If there's no wind 1,000 feet high, yeah, you do it. So what's the difference, really?
The consequence of failure.
Precisely. The consequence gets into our mind, and many other things too. But literally, the process of getting across, is it the same? So the consequence, and greatly put there, by Julia, of missing a penny in the World Cup final is probably far greater than missing in training. So the more we pressurise ourselves, what happens? The less chance we've got of getting there. So when I talk about the process, go to the process, the execution of getting there, the technique, the skill. But the more you can rehearse it, so if you walked over 100 times before, you'd have a pathway in the brain. Okay? And you can learn from failures to develop more effective behaviour for the future. So we learn. Not that you want to fail walking across a 1,000-foot building, you're in trouble in that position, but so we can guide the person that we're working with to go as close as we can to what they're comfortable doing. Okay, when I do the old experiment, what I do is I line up the outcome to what the person can do. I don't always go for the jugular and sink or swim. It might be they want to do presentation. I say, instead of doing presentation to 20 people, do it to one person. Or do it to nobody. Do it to the plants. Do it on your own. Visualize it and just extend that. Take a step forward, 2 steps forward, 1 back maybe, and then you get there. Does that sort of make sense? You can learn that and go forward. You can use the process to install a new strategy. You do something a certain way, you'd like to do it different. You can use a role model. Okay? You can use role models, and if you know someone who's really confident, imagine stepping in for them. If you know someone's really motivated, if you sort of know someone who speaks really well, someone who's good at interviews, think of some role models who do things really, really well. You know, a good therapist, a good coach. You can imagine visualizing, not being them as such, but maybe standing like they stand, talk like they talk, how they physically go into their mat, and how they structure what they do mentally too, which we cover in modelling later on in the course, which is quite useful. Use resources from the past. So you can, I sometimes visualize people getting to visualize as like a safety behaviour, or that safe place. So some of my people I work with, they might have anxiety, and obviously different anxiety is not the only thing you do, and each one's different in anxiety, but one thing you could do is get them to go to a place, a resourceful state, a place to feel comfortable. This too shall pass. Okay? When I got asked one time by the sports scientist of one of the biggest football clubs in the world, what are your thoughts, Jim, of reducing cortisol in the bloodstream from the players who can't sleep at night after the Champions League? We've tried everything, but it don't work.
Question.
Precisely, $1 million question. I said, well, have you tried rehearsal, visualization? Have you tried reducing the heart rate? And he's like, well, I don't know, Jim. And I said, okay, I'll do a demo with you. I said, okay, let's take your heart rate now, and I'll speak in the language that you understand to him. I said, let's take your blood pressure and heart rate now, and see where they are, and let's remeasure them in 10 minutes of rehearsal. And his heart rate was low anyway, he's quite physically fit, but it dropped by about 10 beats per minute. His blood pressure went down, and he goes, wow, it's amazing how powerful the mind is. And if you multiply 10 beats per minute by how many minutes in the day, I'm not a maths teacher, but it's about 10,000 beats less stress on heart. And okay, his argument is, will it stay that way? Well, it might not, but if you're taking pain relief tablets, you don't take one and you're pain-free forever. You take another one. And I'm not a medical person. I don't advocate anyone to take anything, but I'm just saying that just do it again. So to replenish your energy at times at work, have a time out. One's not saying have a siesta for 3 hours and come back in, but just go to a place where you can go to Sicily, you can go to Thailand, you can go to anywhere you want to, Lake District, somewhere that's nice for you. Okay, somewhere that you feel nice for you. And you'll see I do it a lot myself. Sometimes I sort of disappear somewhere in my mind just to decompress. That's what my suggestion was to him. He put it to the think tank, and some take it, some don't. And that's fine too. Okay, each to their own. Okay, you can break behavior down. Okay, so maybe if I'm going to walk across this room and it's 10,000 feet high, I might start with 5 meters high and break it down. I don't need to be Superman and jump the building in one bound. I can chunk it down. I'll try 5 meters, which is a bit higher than what I'm comfortable with, but I'll extend that comfort zone. Then I might try 10. I might try whatever, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? Yeah. So chunk the behavior down. Presentation, I might practice one question, one thing. So we can break a behavior down. So you've got this big meal in front of you, and it's a beautiful meal, and you sort of start somewhere with the first bite. As you do, so you can chunk the behavior down. You can do it timeline. We did that yesterday. You can take steps, walk it through. We're going to technique shortly. The power of the mind, imagination. It baffles me. It baffles me why we don't use more of that to solve problems and create solutions. It really does baffle me. Okay? Why is this not working? They did a basketball study, by the way, and in this basketball study that they did, I can't remember what university it was now. Stand corrected if someone wants to email me, let me know. It's been a long time. They took 3 groups of basketball players. Group 1 practiced for 6 weeks physically, the free throw. Group 2 didn't practice at all. Group 3 practiced rehearsal. Okay, all things being equal, they were similar level at basketball. Guess which group improved the most?
Visualization.
They did, yeah. Google it. Google it. If you believe it, if you believe everything that Google says. But there's, and I've seen it myself. Okay, a young lad I was working with once at a football club, by the way. He had a condition called Osgood Schlatters, the knees. I'm not a medical person, I don't know this very well, but he couldn't train. And his dad brought him to me to do some work. And what I do with the young lad, because he couldn't train, is limited to what he could train. I use a lot of visualization. And at the end of the season, when it came to getting contracts, 17, 18-year-old lad, he actually improved more technically than a lot of the other players by doing a rehearsal. And he got a contract. I'm not putting it down to me, he got the contract, but that's all he could do. So I said to the physio, I said, you do what you can to keep his fitness levels up without hurting his knees. That's your profession, and I'll do what I can with the mind. Technically. Like heading the ball and stuff like that. And I've used the same principles in business. People have quoted, for a long time, and they've used it. There's been loads of quotes out there. Okay, before my time, obviously, but you see quotes all the time. People using visualization. So it's one way to access the unconscious mind. Okay, one way to go at a more unconscious level. We'll talk more about that. You can do this for interviews, presentations, preparation, sport, even behavior. Behavior is multi-factorial. Behavior doesn't just relate to rehearsal, but is one way to influence behavior is by visualizing it. Okay, so behavior, if you have a tendency to scream at the kids, if you have a tendency to fly off the handle, if you have a tendency to do something that you want to change that you do, a good place to start would be to do and rehearse what you want to do instead. Okay? Neuroscience, we know now from neuroscience, neuroplasticity, we can strengthen pathways in the brain. Okay, we can strengthen pathways in the brain. Neuroplasticity, are you aware of neuroplasticity? Before the 90s, we used to say that we were hardwired, that was it. Now we know that we can keep generating new cells. Neurogenesis. We know now that we can create new pathways in the brain, but you've got to work at it. It's not easy. Our repeated experience shape our brain. So we've seen now with scanning, people who meditate, the areas of the brain that relate to compassion, and so on and so forth, grow stronger. Cortical thickening. Okay, you can see that. There's been FN MRI scans to demonstrate that.
There's that thing you're saying about people saying they influence the world. Didn't they do an experiment when they meditated in this town? It was a city.
Yeah.
And they did all thousands of people all meditated every single day, and the crime rate went down by shocking like 33%. A huge unexplained dip in crime.
Yes, I think there was. Yeah, I recall that may be the case. I don't recall the study, but I have heard similar studies. I think that's a good point. And certainly in my experience, I used to work with young people in care homes. One of the things I used to do is mindfulness. And I was working with a young girl one time, and she was really violent. She'd in a care home, very violent. To say she was violent was,
Sounds like the one who comes to the office.
well, it was not, to say she was violent was an understatement. She really was, She'd attack 40 times a day at least. She really did. And when I made the suggestion, why don't we do some mindfulness with her and relaxation training, they laughed it off. I said, well, what's that going to do? I said, you know what? Let's give it a go. Because mindfulness is not for everybody. Mindfulness, you can work up to it. If you've got obviously a trauma, then you want to moderate the mindfulness. If someone's got severe trauma, I wouldn't suggest that they sit there, because all they're going to do is get in touch with the trauma. They've got nowhere to escape. You may not want to do that. It's all about treatment. But we felt that she could do it. I spoke to the people who were in a care plan and said, can we give it a go? As you can give it a go, she doesn't throttle you one. I said, I'm willing to give it a go. I'll take a hit, I'll take a spit, I'll take a scratch. I don't mind, okay? I'll suggest it. And ironically, after a few weeks, she would ask for me, when's Jim coming in? I like working with him. And her assaults came down dramatically, okay? They came down dramatically. And she said one time, she goes, you know what, Jim, one of the reasons I would lash out with people is I didn't feel safe around people, in the sense that if they can't control, this world can't control a 16-year-old girl, what do I do, she said. So it was almost like she would attack so people could restrain her and hold her so she felt safe. And I said, there's no need to control anybody. You control yourself. You control yourself. And by teaching you self-control, compassion, I'm not putting it down to me, I'm not that daft enough to say that, but I have seen cases like that in real life experience. So this is me, real life experience, not sort of hypothesizing some article or drawing upon my experience in research and literature and that sort of stuff. Reality. Because when you first learn to tie your shoelace, when you're a baby, your brain would light up like a Christmas tree. 4 or 5-year-old, ride a bike, same. If you first learn to dance, not that I can dance by the way, 2 left feet, but first learn to drive, you got new synapses firing and fusing together. You first learn the tango, learn the waltz, learn to do the disco dancing they do these days. You learn to do anything new, driving, first gear, second gear stall. Okay, you got these new synapses firing and fusing together. Okay, you form new pathways. What's it like when you first learn to drive?
I've got an automatic license.
Clever. Yeah. Why not? Why? So there's no stalling in there. Yeah, definitely. But you're still adjusting. You still have to adjust to. And say you're driving somewhere you've never been before. What's it feel like? If you've never been somewhere before.
I know concentrate.
Yeah. Precise. You're going to say I've got sat nav. I've got sat nav. But what's it like when you? But you're right. 100% true. I think you're forming new pathways in brain. Okay, back in the day, and even now sat nav, sometimes you'll find me like rolling window down. Hey, dude, I'm lost. Where do I go? And the thing is, you've been somewhere loads of times before. Have you ever drove on autopilot? Anyone like me, and you're home, you don't even realise. How the hell do I get home?
Yeah. Or you drive to the wrong place.
Yeah.
So used to going.
Definitely. Yeah. How do I get there? How do I get to that place? Okay. And I'm not advocating to drink and drive. Don't do that. So an autopilot. So we generate new brain cells throughout lifetime. Brain cells do that, I'm afraid. That's the reality. Your hippocampus will shrink. The hippocampus will shrink, I'm afraid. That's the way it is. But I suppose what we can do, well, I would say, you know what I suggest you can do too, to sort of generate new synapses, connections? Practice doing stuff that you don't normally do. You know what I do sometimes? I'll brush my teeth with my left hand. I'll play darts with my left hand. I'll do stuff that I don't do. I'll walk around the lake where I live the other way around. then I'll walk the other way around. I'll do stuff that I don't normally do to keep the brain. I'm a lifelong learner. I still study now. Every day I probably study 3-4 hours a day. I'm a lifelong learner. And one of the reasons for doing it, one, I like to learn. Two, I like to sort of keep my brain active. Okay? They keep my brain active. Who was saying that? It might have been a course I was on. It might have been a course I was on. I can't remember what course it was now. It might have been a module I was studying on neuroscience or psych. I can't remember if it was a psych course. But someone was saying to me, there were these group of nuns. If someone knows, if they can email me or let me know if you find the story, a group of nuns in this area, I can't remember what it was in the world, when they studied them, they found they had Alzheimer's, some of them, but they weren't showing any signs of it. They weren't showing any signs of it. And that's not saying, obviously, with Alzheimer's, I'm not suggesting that if they do different things, it's going to have an impact on them. Everyone's different. But they found that because they were really, really active till later in life, they found that some of them, I think in the autopsy, that Alzheimer's, that no one would have known. And I know there's different stages of it. I know it's a complex illness that has many factors that contribute. But what I'm saying is that it goes to show that, you know, we've got this thing about age. You know, people who are old have got so much knowledge to get. As a society, we are daft. We really are. Where we sort of put people of an age to one. So they are our biggest asset. They can tell you stuff that's happened a long time ago. Okay, I'm all for in the new as well, but you can teach anyone new tricks. And experience is no substitute. For one of the things around the age, I think, is resignation. And I think, I can't remember who it was at lunchtime saying that the dad, whatever, keeps training. So you can see, if you keep active, mentally, physically, you know, that's the thing. Yeah, 20-year-olds these days are, you know, like, they're too busy on their apps and that sort of stuff. You know? So, cultivate our mind, best chance. Okay, so brain cells contain information. Neurons communicate with one another by small electrical currents, nerve impulses, and chemical neurotransmitters. Neurons are connected into neural networks to convey specific tasks. Every thought action feeling is created by the activation of a neural network. Okay, our brain's changing every day. New neurons, neurogenesis. There's death as unused neurons die. If you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't speak a language you learned, you'll start to forget the language. If you don't practice the sport, just like any muscle, you don't use it, it degenerates. Okay? Apoptosis. New connection between neurons changed, and they can run over old connections. So you practice being miserable, angry, sad, resentful, you're going to get damn good at it. Practice love, compassion, then you get good at it. Okay? Hence my point yesterday. Teach kids in schools love and compassion, kindness, self-love, self-worth. Teach them. So when they're old, they get a knockback, they don't get as disillusioned. Imagine if you taught a 5-year-old to be grateful, and the 5-year-old becomes a 30-year-old and has bad news and goes back to a gratitude state earlier than anyone else could. Imagine how more adaptive behaviour would be. Yes, biology plays a part, psychology, sociology, but imagine how much better you'd be by doing it. The basal ganglia is the formation of old habits, rituals, routine, automatic process that requires small amounts of energy. So your brain likes to do things on a minimal, you know, the brain likes to generalise. The brain doesn't want to push itself, the brain likes to autopilot. You don't learn to drive every day, you don't learn to brush your teeth every day, you don't learn to do many things every day. Your brain likes to cruise it. Okay, the neocortex requires a lot of energy. Okay, the human brain, so to speak. Learning new things, change requires a lot of energy and attention. Ever done dissertation, you feel worn out, learn something new? Okay, when you go home tonight after course, your head will be probably throbbing, and you'll go to bed. Okay, so you require a lot of energy. Change is easy, for sure. Okay, visualization is good. Like a cornfield, driving a tractor, build a new pathway, new connection. Neurons communicate to each other, that we know. Chemicals called neurotransmitters. Glands release active chemicals called hormones, and these active molecules create emotions and moods. Okay, so we can visualize the outcome. So think of a goal you've got and visualize having it. Feel it, see it, feel it. You can do that, put it into your brain if you want to. Visualize goal. You got the goal, visualize the outcome. Process, the steps of getting the goal. Write a script. We can visualize technique, like in sport, kicking a ball, basketball, technique, you can do that. The technique, break it down. Say in football, you might say arms out for balance, foot alongside the ball. In an interview, you could do the questions, how you're going to answer them. Presentation, are you going to stand, are you going to walk, are you going to talk? You can do behavior visualization too. Okay, so perhaps you could say, instead of smoking, go for a walk as an option. Instead of eating one thing, eat something else. Instead of doing that, do this. Instead of getting angry when someone looks at you a certain way, you can be more neutral. Okay? So we can start basic, and what I do is the step process you can use is decide what you want as the outcome, then write the script, then after you've written the script, see yourself doing it on TV, step in the screen and embed it by doing a few scenarios. Okay? So what better way to do a demonstration? And I'm not going to have a great deal of time because I want you to practice it too, and we've got another technique to do after this, but I'll do a quick demo, and after I've done demo, then you can have a practice in pairs and we'll bat from there. Okay? So the last one can be you okay to have a demo? Visualization? Yeah, you can sit in the hot seat. Yeah, you okay? Yeah, fantastic. We're doing mental rehearsal. So have you got anything coming up that you'd like to? An interview, presentation?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we can do. What outcome do you want for that?
I want the job tailored to my needs and get the package that's going to be right.
But have you got like something coming up that you're preparing for?
I have actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Specific. Okay.
Specific.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the goal is, what's the goal?
The goal is to, by working with the company, that I learn more about dementia care.
Okay.
So it's something that's new.
So the goal is to get the job with the company.
It is.
Okay. So we can put the outcome to one side now. If you want the outcome to one side, you can feel it, see it, having it, blah blah blah. If you want to, that's okay. Then we write a script of how to get the goal. And the script in an interview could be the sort of questions I'll ask you, the way you'll conduct yourself in the interview, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So script, being a director of your own film, in your script, use your senses, see, hear and feel. So a script is like, okay, I might do a script for football, and the football technique is put the ball down, arms out for balance, foot alongside the ball. That's the technique. The lad I was talking about, the army, running, the script was seeing himself running on the track, the time, he could smell the grass, he could feel the wind blowing, it might have been sunny, it could have been cold. Creating a script. So you write the script. And you can write the script for anything, for behavior. It could be you understand the trigger, and after that trigger you might eat a certain type of food, but you eat something different. So the script is about being director of your own film. Okay? So, okay, because of time, I'm going to get you to think of the script, okay? So you're in the interview, and have you been to that place before?
Yes.
So that's a positive. If you've got something coming up, go to that place before, familiarise yourself. If you've got a job interview, go there if you can. Presentation, go there. Whenever I present something new, I make a point of going in the night before to get a feel for it, for the room, and I visualise it, okay? So you can visualise the script and go from there. And I'll do the technical practice and go from there. So, okay, you've got the script, and I'm going to guide you now.
Okay.
Okay. Before I guide you, what I want to do is just regulate your breathing, please, if you don't mind. Okay, so first of all, the exercise, just place your hands on your tummy, please, Marie. And as you place your hands on the tummy, 1 or 2 is okay. I want you to just breathe deeper. And just breathe at a ratio you're comfortable breathing. And as you breathe deeper, what I'd like you to do is just let your parasympathetic nervous system kick in, relaxing your sphincter muscles, breathing deeper, heart rate going down, slowing down. So before we start the process, just go into a nice, calm state, tranquil state. Let's get the mind nice, calm state. Just breathing deeper. And as you breathe deeper, perhaps you'd like to close your eyes. Okay, think of the outcome. We start with the outcome, the end in mind. You've got a job. Let's say you've got this job, what it feels like to have the job. Any sounds, any feelings, Any colours, where the colours are they close, are they really intensify? Let the feeling spread through the body if you can. You got the job, okay? Give me a gesture. What would you do once you got the job? What's the gesture you would do? Just your hand, you got the job, bang. What about one of these? Ooh, got a job.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Okay, so you got the job. Let's get there. Okay. Remember physiology, mind and body, okay? It's impossible not to feel anything other than euphoric. Ooh. Okay? Okay, so feel it. But now let's sort of go to what we need to do. So the process being, I want you to now start with the basic picture. You arrive at the interview. I'm going to fast track it here, by the way. Normally I do this process, it could last as long as an hour, half an hour, whatever really. I'm going to fast track it. But it doesn't have to last as long as that too, and quickly as well, depending on what you're looking to achieve. So I want you to imagine you get to the interview, you're there, you see the people, a person there, what they're wearing, what you're wearing, the colours of the walls. And as you see the colours of the walls, you compose yourself, you breathe deeper, you go into state, Marie, what sort of state do you want to be in for this job, mentally?
Oh, relaxed, calm.
Okay, go into relaxed, calm state. As you go into relaxed, calm state, just make yourself comfortable physically. Perhaps you like to match and mirror the person interviewing you to a point. Okay, and adopt their posture. And as you do that, see yourself like a screen now, doing the interview, and the questions I'll ask you. Okay, so we can rehearse a few questions. Okay, why do you want the job? Now you can answer, you don't have to answer. You can internalize if you want to. I'm just going to sort of hypothesize a bit now, but you can form a list of questions you can ask yourself. Now, why do you want the job? Okay. Why are you the right person for the job?
My experience.
Okay. What can you offer this organisation?
My years of experience and my capacity to learn more.
Fantastic. How will you improve the organisation?
By what I've already been exposed to in recent times, I can bring those positive experiences and negative experiences to the table, and I can help facilitate developing a training package for them.
Okay. And you can see yourself on the screen. Go through as many questions as you want to. The questions will be criteria based. There could be ones you know they're going to be asked. It could be on company value, blah blah blah, whatever. It doesn't matter. But see yourself and go through it, yeah. And as you go through that, when you've got it perfect, Marie, like you want it to be perfect, you're calm. What was the other word that you used?
Relax.
Transfer calm and relax into the screen. So transfer calm and relax in the screen.
Okay.
Breathe deeper. Okay. Transfer calm, relaxed. Color, sound, feeling. Clear your mind. Now step in the screen like it's the here and now when you're ready. And imagine now the here and now. Do a bit of in vivo, a bit of role play. You turn up the interview panel. The person shakes your hand and you shake their hand. They say good morning or good afternoon or whatever time it is. Welcome. Thanks for coming down. And just go through some of the questions and how you'll answer them. And as you go through the questions, how you'll answer them, just feel your posture, feeling calm and relaxed. And anytime they ask a question that, or anytime you feel any sense of, you mentioned earlier, a bit of apprehension, I mean to just breathe, gather your thoughts, and give yourself 6 seconds to respond. There's a more conscious response. Okay, not a limbic response. Move the response, Marie, to the neocortex. Move it to the logical brain. And if they ask you a question that feels intrusive, what are you going to do? Just pause and stay focused. If they ask you a question that you feel winds up a bit, perhaps you could bring a glass of water and have a sip and then answer it with a clear mind. Give yourself that 6 seconds. Okay? By 6 seconds time, be calm and composed. And now you start asking them questions. and the shoes on the other foot. And what questions would you ask them? Are there questions you could ask them? Okay, and you don't have to check if you don't want to, be kind enough to volunteer. Okay, and now imagine 3 scenarios. 3 interviews where you'll be this way, 3 questions, 3 situations, and embed that, if you will, in your own time, in your own pace. You can come back to the here and now. Okay, did you find it useful?
I did very much so, thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, okay, so I want you to have a go now, and you can sort of go over it again if you want to, so if you choose to, but this is the key. It's in the manual too, by the way. I'll put a point in the direction manual shortly. You're going to have a practice. This is a powerful skill, it really is. And when I teach, when I taught NLP to the Air Force, that was one of the techniques I taught them, and they really loved it a lot. They loved it so much. When I teach like great athletes, it's the technique I use. When I work with people at any level, really, as a teacher, this should be taught. It really should. It's such a powerful tool. It really is to be able to go inside your head. Okay. Now, Marie, when she goes to the interview, she's rehearsed it. She's been there. All things being well, I know people go for the same job. Who's got the best chance of getting anything? I think the one who rehearses it. I'm not so guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. But knowing the way the mind works, all things being equal, same qualifications, same experience, know that the one who masters their mind has got best chance. Because I know if I'm going to walk across this plank and it's 10,000 feet to get that 1,000 feet on the other side, the more I practice it, the better chance I'll get getting across. If you've never done it before, you're apprehensive. I've worked up to it. We've got to walk across there. Okay, there's £1 million on the table on the other side. Best never walked across, and I've walked across 10 times. She's apprehensive about going. I'm going to go for it. All things being well, hypothetically. Okay, does that sort of make sense? To give yourself the best possible chance. Because people have got the confidence, sometimes they lack the confidence, and you can sort of, we also use calm and relaxed. I wouldn't have used the word relaxed unless Marie mentioned it. Why? Because the word relaxed for some people can have an association. Because people have got a bit of anxiety about a certain situation, probably heard, just relax, you know. So unless they mention, I won't use it. And it's always good to start the process with the breathing that I mentioned here. If this damn thing was to work. It's always good to start the exercise by getting the person just, okay, breathe. Okay, so the first step, you decide on the outcome you want, the behavior you want. Or even before that, it could be what you want to replace. So if it's smoking with going for a walk, eating a chocolate cake with eating an apple, if it's a technique in sport, if it's going for a job interview, feeling calmer, whatever. Deciding what you want, and then write a script, like a Hollywood film, and use your senses in writing the script. Okay? Then see yourself doing it on TV, and then, when you've got it perfect, step in the screen. Okay? Top athletes do it hundreds of times, and business is no different. You're coaching people, it's an awesome skill to have. It really is. Okay? So we'll get a chance to practice now, and we'll go from there. And you've got it now anyway, if you need to recap. Phenomenal. Thank you. It was awesome.
Thank you.